So for 6 years now, Dr. Oz has been hosting the Dr. Oz Show. It's a great show. He's become America's physician. America loves him. He's done 1,000 episodes now in the can. But he's come under fire in the past, week or so.
Yeah.
Some of his peers at Columbia University, some doctors sent an email to university leadership contending that Dr. Oz promoted, and this is in their letter, quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain.
They wanted him to be dropped from the faculty.
Well, Dr. Oz and many of his supporters find this outrageous. Dr. Oz has fought back and actually was on his show yesterday. It was pretty dramatic to watch. Dr. Oz is on our show this morning answering the critics. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. If I could just say one thing, it's interesting. You mentioned that Columbia doctors last week sent a letter. That was all over the headlines. That wasn't true.
It wasn't. So who are these doctors?
These physicians were generally linked to GMO-backed organizations. They had a clear vested interest. In their letter, they only gave one clue of who they could be because most of them were broad allegations.
So are these the doctors that are up there, their pictures?
They look them. Yes, those are the physicians.
Okay.
And
so you're saying that they're linked to GMOs?
Not all of them, but most of them, half of them have a link to GMO-backed organizations. The worst part was one had a criminal record, had lost his medical license for Medicaid fraud in New York State. One had been linked to the cigarette industry. So there are many things that made me suspect of what their motivation was. And in the letter they wrote, it was so broadly attacking me that with no specifics that the only clue was one little mention of GMO foods, which is what I focused on in yesterday's show. And listen, I'm not even against GMOs. I just think they have to be labeled. We all deserve to know more.
Genetically modified
organisms, genetically modified
There's a lot
foods.
of people who don't want to get GMO foods. They don't want vegetables or anything that are, they want natural vegetables.
Yeah, and why would I not want them to have that choice? And so I thought that was the source of the criticism. A subsequent letter came out from some of my colleagues at Columbia. It's very laudatory in some ways, commending my surgical expertise, and because I still operate, and other factors. But they argue also that sometimes when I say things in the show, it involves their interactions with their patients. And I want to be very clear on this. I've always been a sort of unconventional guy. I've always looked around the corner to see what else is out there that might make the experience better for a patient. So it's not surprisingly, I'll talk about items that make them uncomfortable. And the show is much more than just highlighting medical news of the day. It's about life. It's
and
about
alternatives, right?
Alternatives and unconventional approaches. And so I'll have someone talk about prayer or a new nutrition breakthroughs or a celebrity about what works for them. And I'll allow all that to breathe.
And meanwhile, there'll be some doctor out there in a lab or in an office. They'll see you on television, and they might resent it. I mean, maybe you can't say this, but I think that some of these guys might be a bit jealous of Dr. Oz. You become famous. You've done quite well. That might be a factor here?
It might be, but I'd like to look for the positive. What are the opportunities for us to make the show an even better place for people to go? And I've always desired to make the interaction between a doctor and a patient a better one. If I make you a world expert in your body, when you go talk to a doctor, remember the word doctor means teacher, and we're supposed to be teachers. So if you're better educated, you walk in there, it's a better experience. And I hear from so many doctors and patients and viewers that it actually helps that process. And I'm respectful of the fact that there'll be some who don't agree and who think it actually complicates matters. And sometimes they feel like they're wasting time because you're asking questions that you may have heard about on the show, and the doctor wants to get through the interaction and focus on what they think is most important.
Listen, you are so respected, not only in the TV industry, but in your field, a top heart surgeon in town who continues to do surgery. I see you today. You're not the Dr. Oz that comes in here all the time. I mean, you look like you're hurt, like you really, you've taken it to heart, so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak. It's uncomfortable, but it's worth it. The battle for the health of America is worth any price I would pay. I'm not surprised by some of the attacks.
But are you hurt by it?
Yeah, I wish it wouldn't be so widely read by my family, because I don't want, when the kids are asking what's going on, I don't want them to be feeling that things are unsettled, and I also don't want them to believe a lot of things that are being said, because sometimes folks, in order to get more attention, will say harsher things than are appropriate. But at its very core, it's something that I expected. I continue to expect it, and there'll be more in the future. It's not going to go away. People are going to continue to argue about health because it matters. And when you're fighting over something that's really important, people get strong perspectives on it.
Well, we certainly trust you as a doctor. In fact, you operated on my best friend's father once. And Dr. Oz has great hands and a great brain. and a big future.
So what happens now with this thing that was out there in the paper? Nothing? Is it done? Over with?
Well, the original letter to the university is done because the university said freedom of speech reigns, and which, again, I applaud the university for, and the doctors yesterday from Columbia who said the same thing. You should be allowed to state your views. You want to do it in a constructive way, obviously, make the world a better place. But I will not be silenced. I'm going to continue to talk about these things. I think they're important.
Good. Marilyn Chaikin on our website, on our Facebook page, said that she wants to congratulate you because yesterday Daphne announced, your daughter, that she's pregnant again.
Yes.
How nice. That's a nice little
in the middle of all this,
thing. Yeah.
and all this craziness, I find out that I'm going to be a grandfather again. So it actually took a lot of the burn off. I'm very proud of Daphne and my son-in-law John, and she's and I'm up against her for an Emmy on Sunday night.
What?
Yes, we're both competing for best show and best host. So she's already flown out there. We'll
How are you going to deal with this?
Well, the reality is her mother's rooting for her.
That's my girl Lisa. I love that.
But she says, I've already won a couple, so it's Daphne's turn.
All right, but you're okay?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Thank you for asking. I love you for
All
asking.
right, we love you too. When we saw that, we were ready to go out and start fighting people. I could only imagine how you and your family were.
You're very good friends. I really appreciate it.
So,
This stuff fades away very quickly. Dr. Oz is here to stay. Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you.
all right, love to the family. Congratulations to Daphne as well.